Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. God has given us unlimited treasures in His Word. Every time we open it, we can discover a new treasure or admire an old one. What will we find today? Here's Carla Early with Treasure Hunt in the Word.
Timothy in the New Testament always reminded me of my son David. I can't tell you how thankful I was that one of the pastors at our church offered to take him under his wing and disciple him. He met with him once a week, took David out visiting with him on Tuesdays, brought him to hospital visits, and involved him in ministry, giving him leadership roles, even though he was a young teen at the time. He also helped David through a rough spot in his teen years that his father and I had trouble with. Even when this pastor left our church, he continued meeting with David for several months. As a mother, there's only so much you can do to train your son, especially when he's called into ministry. I'm sure Timothy's mom was thrilled to have him mentored by Paul. Only I'm not sure how thrilled I'd be to see my son go off into life-threatening situations like Paul always seemed to get himself into. But Timothy's mom put him into God's hands, as we all have to do with our children eventually. I know we've talked about this before, but it's something we always need to have on our radar: mentoring. Whether it's teaching a Sunday school class, leading a small group, or meeting with a spiritually younger Christian for lunch once in a while to have a godly conversation, every Christian should be a Paul to a Timothy. If you're not intentionally discipling someone, ask God to put a person in your path. Find out how their walk is with the Lord and disciple them. That said, do you have a Paul in your life? Someone mentoring you? Maybe someone older, but definitely someone more mature in the Lord, or a wise friend who will keep you accountable and challenge you in your walk. If not, pray God would send someone your way. When Paul and Barnabas parted ways, Barnabas had John Mark. Paul and Silas traveled to Lystra and met Timothy and his family. Timothy was a son of a Jewish Christian woman and a Greek father. Everyone spoke well of him. Paul and Silas decided to take Timothy with them. Then Paul did something rather odd. In Acts 16:3, he had Timothy circumcised. But wait, we say, didn't Paul just come back from the Jerusalem Council where they say that circumcision isn't necessary? They did say Gentiles don't need to be circumcised in order to be saved. But Timothy is part Jew and part Greek. He has a unique opportunity to be part of both cultures. But do you think Jews would accept him if he were uncircumcised? Probably not. Paul isn't getting Timothy circumcised as a salvation issue. Timothy's already saved. But so his uncircumcision wouldn't be a barrier to unsaved Jews. As Paul says, I have become all things to all men, that I might by all means save some. Timothy's freedom in Christ meant he didn't need to be circumcised, but his love for God and people, especially his Jewish brethren, caused him to submit to circumcision. Sometimes we need to do that too. Submit, give up what we want in order to identify with people that we're trying to serve. An associate pastor at a local church wanted to minister to the homeless of our community, so he stored all of his stuff and lived on the street for quite a while. He got to know the homeless on their level. That might be an extreme example, but often there are smaller things we can do to identify with people we want to reach. Sticking with the homeless scenario, we could volunteer at a soup kitchen or shelter, sit down on a curb and chat, listen to their story, give them a hug. Sometimes it just takes a change in perspective that God can use to break down a barrier and open a heart.
You can contact us at treasurehuntintheword@gmail.com. We'd love to hear the treasures God has given you through His Word. You can listen to other episodes at our website, which you can find in the description below. Thanks for listening, and remember, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.